Hello children! Today we are out here in this beautiful, piney, marshy area here in northern Palm Beach County. And today we're out here in the search for a very specific kind of butterfly that I have never seen before, but that could be found in this beautiful but very specific habitat, the Little Metalmark. Now that is an absolutely tiny butterfly, but I know we are in the right kind of spot to be looking for them, so hopefully we could find those and some other really cool butterflies. So let's see what all we could find.
Well, our first butterfly of the day here is a pretty common species that I don't see too often, but I've noticed is pretty common in these kinds of habitats. This is a common buckeye, one of 3 different kinds of buckeye species that can be found in Florida. However, the only buckeye species that you'd be able to find in this part of Florida in this kind of habitat. Regardless of range and habitat preference, we could still be certain that this is a common buckeye by the fact that the white band on the forewing wraps around the big eye spot, a trait that is not found on the other 2 Florida buckeye species. Even though these are pretty common, it's still a great start and a great indicator as to this habitat being great. This butterfly right here, that is quite little and is yellow in coloration, happens to be called a little yellow. While there are plenty of very common small yellow butterfly species here in Florida, the little yellow, ironically, is not one I see very often and is very habitat specific. I only ever see them in the drier parts of wetland areas, as well as rarely also in scrubs. So every time I manage to find one in between the very common dainty sulfurs and barred yellows is a treat. This one is a male, as seen by the very bright yellow coloration, as well as the lack of mottling on the wings. This right here is a white checkered skipper, a very similar species to the more common tropical checkered skipper. However, the underside of the hind wings is very pale, lacking 3 black splotches that would be found on the tropical checkered skipper.
The mallow scrub hairstreak is probably the most common species of hairstreak that I encounter here in southern Florida. However, they are still heavily outnumbered. They're much more common family members, the Serranus and Cassius blues, so I still get excited to see mallow scrub hairstreaks. Overall, they're a relatively dull hairstreak, lacking any very bright coloration or striking patterns, and sticking mostly to their good camouflage. Still, if they happen to be noticed, they do the same defense movement as other hairstreaks, where they move their wings up and down, which deflects the attention of predators to the wings and not the head, making any attacks less likely to be fatal. It's been hours. I've walked a few miles at this point, trying to look for this butterfly, and we've been seeing some pretty cool stuff, but have not found any metal marks yet. Now there's a spot over back there that looks like it might be good to look for these things, but right now I just need to take a quick little break. It's been pretty tiring. Alright, I think I see a little small orange butterfly flittering around. It just landed.
And just like that, that little orange butterfly is exactly what we're looking for. This right here is the Little Metalmark, which is a lifer for me. I've never seen this species in my life before. And this is far from the only individual I saw fluttering around. They seem to be particularly abundant at this one little spot. The Little Metalmark is the only species of metalmark butterfly that can be found in the southeastern United States. The metalmark family is an extremely diverse family of small butterflies that come in many different colors. And the Little Metalmark has an extremely distinctive pattern, especially in its range here in Florida where there are no other metalmark species. The undersides of the wings are an extremely bright yellowish orange, with some iridescent blue-black speckling underneath, whereas the top of the wings is a more rusty orange color, with abundant black and gray banding that also reflects blue in the sunlight. Now granted, their small size makes this extremely hard to notice without zooming in.
Alright children, I'm gonna be real quiet here. I had no clue these butterflies are gonna be this cooperative. I thought they would be super skittish, but they are letting me get so close. Check out how tiny this thing is.
This plant it's resting on is actually its host plant, thistle, which was in abundance in this little spot, which has to be why they are really common in this one little area and nowhere else. It appears to be scouting for a place to lay eggs. This one appears to be sunning, or at least trying to, which is why it's spinning around so slowly, with its wings open and flattened. It's trying to find the right angle to position its body at for thermoregulation. While this obviously benefits the butterfly, it also benefits me, as it allows me to get pretty close and have the sunlight right on those beautiful patterning. You can really see how that iridescent blue-black contrasts with the beautiful rusty orange, which looks even brighter in direct sunlight. Besides the distinctive patterning, The Little Metalmark also has a very distinctive wing shape, with very narrow forewings that are held quite far forward from the hind wings, and an overall very delicate appearance that could help separate it from any smaller orange skippers if you don't get close enough to see the pattern. The rusty orange and iridescent blue fades away with age, and more worn individuals appear to be more of a blurry combination of brown and black. Still, the distinctive banding pattern and overall body and wing shape are still very visible and recognizable in worn individuals. I'm just so glad we managed to find this many individuals.